was so blind. We could be was so blind. We could be was so blind. I spent so many days and nights trying to walk this earth, and when me realize that this whole universe is trying to sympathize, and that's appear to cut. We need other purpose, so we just search and search, blowing up the skies until the ozone burst, putting toxic waste up underneath the earth. We wanna live longer and still give birth, but all the information gets lost. I only ever hear one song on the radio, and all the false reality on those TV.
Welcome to Subliminal Sanity. I'm going to try to make this quick. I know you guys are busy. You know, it's a good work week, good work day. And I got stuff to do too, so I don't want to take up too much of your time. Anybody want to enjoy a nice little fag with me while we discuss some news? I'm just playing. Today's show, I titled it a little strange and queerly. From flags to fags to the death of sovereign democracy. And what does this really mean for us as a nation today? You know, there's a lot of, I would say, controversy in the religious world of the Adventists and the true Christians, and they're actually afraid, as opposed to like other religions like Islam, Catholicism, and even Judaism. Homosexuality is being accepted worldwide. It's almost like, you know, unquestionable. They just don't even really care. But in the Christian aspect of it, for the Seventh-day Adventists and the ones that pay attention to Bible prophecy and believe that, you know, we really are living in the end times, this has been the icing on the cake for them. And so, you know, this is real news. This is the news that you're not going to hear on the radio at all, or on the TV, on the mainstream media. You're not going to hear this information. So I'm just going to bring it right to you as it really is, you know. Same thing with racism. Racism is become a completely, you never realize how touchy it is, especially if you're not a racist person and you can put common sense behind a lot of the pre-designed attributes and ideas that we live by every day. And one of them is racism. And racism is completely, from what I've seen, it not only has contaminated our minds and our conscience, but it's completely divided us. And it actually is, it's made it so that in almost every aspect of it, no one's really handling it in a really mature way. In fact, it's almost like when you're confronted, or you can say something and you're confronted by it. I guess I'll give you an example. I made a post a couple days ago about this girl. You've probably seen it, viral video. Girl goes around. She's a white girl's holding a baby. And they know that the reason why this girl, this Black American, will not beat her up is because she's got the baby. But she didn't care. She grabbed her by the head. She threw her down on the ground. She started beating her up. The baby's laying on the ground crying and stuff while the girl's getting the crap beat out of her. And I'm sitting there thinking to myself, like, man, this is just beyond racism. This is like literally the facets, one of the many facets of a divided, pre-designed society, of a pre-designed culture. And it's only going to get worse. And I posted it, and people were like, you know, commenting on there. And, you know, it was like, wow, this is really a horrible video. And I'm like, I know, I feel, you know, I feel. And then all of a sudden, this person from another mutual friend sees my post on their page, I guess, and then decides to comment in and basically, you know, says typical N-words, you know, typical, typical N-ers, you know what I mean? Basically calling them the N-word, okay? And I'm like, you know, the only nigger here is you, you know, because this is what I'm trying to say. Like, when you look at all these race wars and all these things that are going on, trying to be pressed by Al Sharpton and our president and CNN and all these things, it really makes you, you know, see how it's actually pre-designed and pre-programmed. It's predictive programming. It is programming. It's brainwash. And I can see it as it's happening. So I feel like, well, if I know that I'm being programmed right now, everybody else must see that this is bullshit too. But they don't. They don't. They eat it up. And the post was a prime example of that. I sit there, I put something in there that had nothing to do with racism at all, about how I call out exactly what it is. It's not racism anymore. It's pre-designed division, of a culture that, back in the day we were a republic, and then they invent this thing called democracy, where you got your Democrats and your Republicans. So now you've already divided the land. Instead of everybody looking at government and being like, hey, we need to keep our eye on them. They could take us for a ride. No, they sat there and gave you the illusion that, you're going to be able to vote for your freedoms and have a sovereign democracy where everything is done by consent. Right? Sounds good in the beginning. You know what I mean? But the American people were too educated to let it end up like all the other fake democracies around the world. We actually were a true democracy where you could vote things in and vote things out, and you had say, and they couldn't do anything without the consent of the American people. Well, if you can see from the Patriot Act to the National Defense Authorization Act to the TPA to the TPP, all these bills being passed is been the death of not only sovereignty, but our actual democracy. Like, it's gone. And that's why I titled it. And the reason, that's why I titled it the way I did, from flags to fags to, the death of sovereign democracy. And, while all this was going on, under the nose of the American people, from the TPA and the TPP, and, well, it's a fast track. So, you got fast track and you got the Trans-Pacific Partnership Trade, and they all go together. And I've been talking about this for a while, and only mostly just basically kind of assuming, not necessarily assuming that people know, but just kind of being like, hey, I bet you don't really know about the TPP, do you? How do you feel about corporations being your president? I've known a lot about what's going to happen. And as you start looking at the past and you start looking at what's going on right now, for example, like this, but that the Ted Bundy ranch, okay? Public property, public lands being shut down, telling him that he can't graze his cows out there anymore. He cannot take care of that land anymore. He has no right to it. It's now federal government's property, okay? Then there was a man arrested in California for saving, in Arizona, for saving rainwater. Then there was another lady here living off the grid in Florida, and they told her that she could continue living the way that she is, but she has to be on town water and stuff. But they went in there and shut her completely down, kicked her off her entire property, completely condemned her property, told her that she can't live in there. It's unlivable because she wanted to live off the grid and have solar panels and gardens and, live off the grid. But she had to have running water, I guess, So you have to have your fluoride. You got to have your city something. You got to be off their arm somehow, some way, okay? And when I started realizing that, like, hey, you can't even live off the grid anymore. Like, companies are coming in and like, hey, like for example, the Jacksonville Power Company, okay? So, let's say you're going through Jacksonville Power Company, and then all of a sudden you're like, yeah, I don't want to do this anymore. I want to get solar panels. And you start doing that. Jacksonville Power Company will show up and be like, hey, we noticed that, you ain't taking no juice from us. And they'd be like, yeah, I totally decided to go independent. I don't want to be a part of this monopolization anymore. Well, just to let you know, by you having a contract in with us and by having your property here and you living in it and you connected to this pole, or you living on a property with the pole on it, because you have the pole and you live in it, you have to have power, or we're going to have to condemn your building, Right now, that's not exactly how much power they have, but that's what I'm trying to say. It's getting there. All right, let's say you're growing a garden and you find out that your neighbor has non-genetically modified organism seeds, okay? That means that you can sit there, plant seeds, like let's say watermelons, okay? Then next year you can keep some of the watermelons back for yourself and save all the seeds and then plant another harvest for yourself again. Well, if Monsanto finds out that you're using non-genetically modified seeds, then they're going to be able to arrest you, take your property, shut you down. This is what I mean. I even heard about 4 years ago that America was going to eventually be so that China and Brazil and like Africa and Australia and even Russia and even Mexico and Canada, people from other countries will be able to pick and choose who our Congress and president is. Can you imagine that? You know, I'm getting to the point where I really feel like doing this is kind of, it's a waste of breath and time because I personally don't really see a big change and I don't see how it's going to get better at this point, you know? And what I mean by that is like this, you know, you might, you know, there's a small group of people that watch and listen to what's going on, okay? And there's a small group of people that might come across what I'm saying right now and totally 100% agree and be like, you know, yeah, you know, this is inspiring. I feel like, you know, I've met it or seen an individual that's saying things that I can understand and correlate to. But at the end of the day, when you shut down the computer and you go back out in the world, you realize you're really alone on this information and that truly people just don't give a shit. Even if they know that they're going to, that's fluoride. That's fluoride kicking in right there. When I say, hey, they're going to microchip you, whatever. I tell you, hey, you know, that constitution that's protected your entire life, they're going to throw that away and throw it in the paper shredder. Whatever. It's only a 200-year-old piece of paper anyways. I mean, what good is it? This is literally reactions I've got, okay? Hey, you know, they're going to put an RFID chip in you, which is going to control all economic basis under a digital financial capital system. And they're going to be able to track you and monitor your every movement. All right. You know, well, as long as I get to keep the money that I have now, I don't care. This is what I've heard. You know, they got these things called FEMA camps opening up and all these coffins and stuff. That's a conspiracy theory. That's not real. You know, hey, did you know that Bill Gates said he's trying to depopulate people through vaccinations? Man, where do you get this stuff, dude? You're crazy. You really think your government's trying to kill you? You really think that? And then I'll be like, hey, man, you know, they're putting these chemicals in the sky. And they say the reason why they're doing it is because, you know, the atmosphere has gotten so bad and that, you know, there's a few things that they say it's for. Some scientists that don't want to be heard, they say it's the sun and that the sun is getting extremely hot. And because of the pollutions and the things that we've done, we've deteriorated our atmosphere and ionosphere and the troposphere, and through HARP and all these other programs and chemicals and pollution and stuff, that we have to create an artificial atmosphere to block the sun so that we don't have to stop spewing all these chemicals from corporations and, you know, your carbon monoxide from your car, carbon emissions, and all these other things. And then what they're doing is going to create this thing called the carbon tax, which is allowing corporations to be able to buy carbon taxes so they're allowed to pollute at a certain percentage. So basically, you're allowed to pollute the more money that you have. But what does that do to the little people when the government's blaming climate change on you and your children and that you produce a specific amount of carbons each year too? And that's adding into the carbons of pollution. So we're really going to have to monitor life too, not just the factories and our industrial complex that keeps life going as far as like, you know, the wheel of this world and business, but life itself that actually keeps the wheel going, okay? It's not money that makes the world go around. Money is the push that makes you move. Money is the motive. It's like getting a phone call from your friend. Hey, man, I got a flat tire. Can you come pick me up? I'm really sorry, man. I'm in the middle of something really busy right now. You know what I mean? And, well, dude, I'll give you like $20. Where are you? Yeah, I'll be right there. That's the world we're living in today. People sit there and think money is their God, their thing that gives them everything they want. They don't realize that that is just a useful tool of control. It's the push that makes you move. It is your God. It is your God. I don't give a shit what you say. That's your God. You know, people have become so atheistical and so desensitized to truth that they literally have dumbed down words and dumbed down meanings and dumbed down the definitions just so that we can have a politically correct society where no one's offended, that we've destroyed the meaning of everything. To where now, if it does offend you, shoot that man, or he needs to be arrested, or that's a hate crime, or, you know, anything I can to live in my bubble of non-intrusion, not be affected by the world around me. All right? And why is this significant that I'm talking? Well, I'll tell you why. Because so easily you could watch this information and then all of a sudden your news channel comes on. Let's make sure we're all doing this right and actually, nope. Everything's freezing up. All right, hold on one second. I'm going to go ahead and get a book. Sit this big camera out. So, as you can see, everybody's talking about the flag, okay? And everybody's talking about, well, Fags. And I put it like this. If, you know, I've got a ton of black friends. Not a ton. I don't want to put it like that. I'm not like, you know, friends with every black person that I've ever met in my life. But, you know, I don't have tons of them. I'm not going to lie to you. What I do have is some really good black friends. And we've gotten real conversations about how black people live, what really is the differences between these individuals, etc. And there really is no difference. And in fact, you know, I love black people. In fact, I think I get along with black people sometimes more than I do white people, because I have the ability to look at myself and see what others won't like, what I don't like about myself. And, you know, I have a sense of alienship from my own self. I alienize my own self in the world. It's really weird. But then when you meet other people that are alienized from the world, they're not very far off from the same feelings and the same understandings of life. You become more of an empath. You become more disconnected from the world around you and more involved with your own likenesses and your own realities, and you become a lot more open-minded in a lot of specific things. So what I'm trying to say is that black people have heard it all. Black people have gone through the ends of the earth so far right now in their lifetime, hearing every single racist slander to not being accepted to everything that you could possibly think of. And the same goes for homosexual people. I mean, even the word homosexual almost, you know, kind of sounds almost like slanderish. And then you start throwing out the word fag or whatever. They've heard it all, and I'm sure they've gotten accepting of it. And I'm sure there's times that they laugh at it and just find it very funny, because it's just like Dave Chappelle. He turned around and he took two races. He took a very controversial topic and he made it funny. And it's when you can see something to where it's just a word or it's just an idea or it's just something used as a control to your perception, to your thought process of other people, it becomes something of meaningless. It becomes funny. And what I'm trying to say is like this. It's like you got people in the world that are really trying to design an issue or a crisis to throw in front of you to control your perception. And we really are that immature. We really are that stupid that we believe whatever the news is telling us, whatever they're pounding on all the time, you really should go start researching something else. But you don't. You really run with it. I mean, look, as soon as they passed this whole legalization, I guess, of gay marriage, which it was always legal before you could do it, but now it's just capitalized. But we're going to get into that in a second. Let's go in and stay right here where we are, okay? Everybody went out and started getting they started rainbowizing their profile pictures. Okay, it's conformity. It just shows me that everybody is plugged into the same thing, regardless whether. I mean, look, Libby Halevi, she turned around and did it. Ken Jami, he did it, and everybody that's in support of this, which is fine. Okay, that is fine. I'm glad that everybody is supportive as an American about immature issues that are really pre-designed and fabricated. It's like, if you're black and you're going to get judged and you feel like you can't live in this society, then you obviously are not living in a society where people are not racist, and we really need to check people and see where people are physically and mentally and spiritually towards human being itself, human race. Okay, nobody's perfect, and we're all going to bleed red, and we all breathe the same air that it was gifted to us. We're all sharing it together. I don't, in the moment that you feel like, oh, well, that's the sad part, you're the problem, not the people that are black, not the Spanish people, not French people, not gay people, okay? What I really think is that in my life, in a human aspect and a fleshly aspect, we're all the same. So for us to start judging people and trying to feel like we're more righteous than everybody else, well, I hate to say it, you're the problem. You're less righteous than anybody else. Because personally, until you can really correct every single thing in yourself, which is personally to me, reading that Bible, figuring out what God expects of you, and then seeing, what, has to do spiritually within yourself, and then running with that. If people are not educated on proper morals and certain things, that's their problem. That's their fault. You can guide them the best that you can by offering that information. But if they don't want to take it, you don't judge that person and say, oh, I hate you, or I don't want to be around you, or you're disgusting to me. No. If anything, you hang around that person, you accept him, and you do the best that you can to get him to accept you for who you are and the information that you got. And you always try to love people and nurture them into the best direction that you can. I'm not saying change your belief system with theirs so that they feel that, hey, we're all like-minded, we're all buddies. No, in life, that's not the way it's supposed to be. We're all individuals. We need to learn to understand each other and accept each other for who we are, so that eventually, let's say you've got an idea or a point of view that you feel the world should adapt to. Well, no one's going to accept you unless you accept them, and that's the truth. So as long as you begin to understand other people and accept their principles and ideas and understand them, then they'll take the chance to understand and accept you. And at that point, I'm not saying you have to change your whole belief system and adapt to their ways. I'm saying take into what they're saying, understand where they're coming from and why they're saying it. If somebody says they're gay, well, what really makes them gay? And try to understand where they're coming from. And then try to understand, try to get them to understand where you're coming from. And if they can't, then, you don't push the issue. Everybody's going to have their own deal with where they go with this. My point is that we don't just take one issue and run on with it and then say, all right, well, that's good. That's good for you guys. We're not going to fucking kill you or whatever, and we're going to run on with it. No, we don't do that. We literally plug on it for 3 to 4 days straight on whether it be a flag issue or a gay issue or a black issue or a white on black issue or cop on black issue. But nobody else is looking what's going on behind the scenes. And so what has been going on behind the scenes, I think, is very crucial and what everybody should know. And one thing you should pay attention to is the TPP, because it's actually been passed. And so I came across this video. I'm not a big fan of Anonymous. I feel like they're actually a COINTELPRO, CIA operative group that is actually created to lure more activists in, lure in more people to be against the system. And instead of wanting to figure out the real true issues of the system and actually have a solution in an intellectual way, we turned around and actually build up rebels and activists that are actually ready to hurt other people. And that's not what we want to do. And if you look, that's what they're always pushing for. But Again, his message is actually really a good message, and I think everybody should hear it the best that they can. Get out there. It's had 60,000 views. I'll probably only have 2. But either way, that's 2 more people that heard the message. So here it is.
A distraction and same-sex marriage, the United States Congress forfeited the entire economic future of the country by quietly passing the so-called fast-track authority, which allowed the corporate-paid American president, Barack Obama, to approve the TPP free trade agreement. The TPP, as you may have heard, outright surrenders the United States sovereignty to multinational corporations, handing them total global monopolies over labor practices, immigration, big pharma drug pricing, GMO food labeling, criminalization of garden seeds, and much, much more. In all, the TPP hands over control of 80% of the United States economy to global monopolists.
See, to me, this is more of an issue than fags and flags. It really is. I mean, come on. You're gay, you're gay. Who cares? That's old news. You know what's going on in the 40s, 50s, 60s. It's been in this country for a long time. It's been hidden in the closet. Now our government has accepted it as like, you know, a total okay thing. It's great. It should have never been glorified. It's irrelevant. You know, nobody cares that I'm heterosexual. Nobody cares that I got a wife and that, you know, I like JJ. But all of a sudden it's interesting that another man likes penis, or another woman likes vagina, or another woman wants to shave her head and be the man and wear a flannel shirt and tell this pretty little young thing what to do. And then the little young thing likes it. How is it our prerogative? How is it our business? That's my point that I'm trying to make, really, in the overall spectrum. My opinion really doesn't matter whether I think it's cool or not, or gross or not. It's not my business. And I think that's one of the things that parents that have a child that is homosexual should try to understand too. You know, if your child walks in on you having sex, okay, what are you going to break down now what you were doing and sit the child down, try to explain to him what he saw was right? No, it's none of his business. And you tell that child, next time, knock. All right? This is our private time, okay? Sorry you saw me, daddy's pee inside my, okay? The point is that it's none of the kid's business, and the kid shouldn't have been in the situation in the first place. And so for us to blow it up all over the TV and everything else, like it's our business now in a homosexual's relationship, and then getting children thinking about that more rather than how it's really a private thing and something personal, it really just disgusts me. But this is the biggest secret in the world. This is the biggest secret right here, and it's past.
And the TPP is set up to enable those corporations to engage in virtually unlimited toxic chemical pollution, medical monopolization, the gutting of labor safety laws, and much, much more. Plus, did we mention the TPP will displace millions of American workers as corporations outsource jobs to foreign workers, while
So you already see a nation that basically is living by part-time employment. So everybody's got like 2-3 jobs to try to keep what they got. And he's telling you that they're about to kill even more jobs. Listen.
Corporations rake in the profits from new global powers every day. American workers will lose their livelihoods and their jobs, not to mention their pensions. Political sleight of hand. It was so easy to distract the American people with a bogus flag flap and same-sex marriage. Essentially, America just got sold out by people like Marco Rubio. And it was incredibly easy to pull off too. First, America was distracted by a contrived pre-planned mass hysteria and outrage event, now known as the Confederate flag flap. Second, the legalization of same-sex marriage, which Congress approved nationwide, but would not legalize cannabis or the cure for cancer patients across the United States. Hilariously, the literal false flag controversy does not even involve the actual Confederate flag. It involves a battle flag that people mistakenly think is the Confederate flag. But who needs historical accuracy?
You know, the flag represents the rebellion against the North American Union, okay? So back in the day, when there was the North against the South, it was the Union against the Southern states. And you really have to ask yourself, was it really over slavery and racism, or was it over maybe something a little bit more significant than that? Okay? Because when it was all said and done and the war was won, they didn't free anybody. They slaved everybody equally. So black people, they just had the ability now to sign into contracts. And Americans that were born there were sovereign and had inalienable rights under the Organic Constitution of 1776. And then in the Act of 1871, when Abraham Lincoln was in office, the original Southern states backed out of the original Constitution because they had to give up their lands and more money and collateral to the European international bankers from the debt when we first originally started this country. So back in the day, there was slavery, okay? And it was almost like, you know, normal. But the Confederate states, so it was even normal in the North too. What they started doing was freeing their slaves, saying, hey, you know what? If you become a citizen, we're going to give you senatorial civil rights. We're going to give you a social security number and a birth certificate, and you'll be a citizen of the United States. You're going to put in money into the system by paying in through taxes, and we're going to turn around and actually allow you to be able to have property and be able to be a citizen. But you need to join our military and go fight the South because they don't want to be a part of this. And so when the plantations and the southern regions started basically not having fund from the European bankers, they weren't having help from the war. So the North had more arsenal, had more propaganda information, had more ability to go against the South, okay? And more black people, you know, saw that like, hey, you know, if we just join them, we'll be free, we'll wipe out the South, it will be great, all right? But that wasn't the case. It was basically once the South was defeated, the federal government and had another separate form of government called the Washington District of Columbia. Everybody then became a citizen of the Washington District of Columbia, which is the corporation of the United States Incorporated, okay? So then what that did, that basically made it so that everybody's under the jurisdiction of the federal government, all right? But anybody that was born before this Constitution and did not have a social security number and that stuff, they were under the original Constitution, were sovereign Americans, and that's what made it be like almost acceptable and adopted in, okay? And then other people that needed help from the government were persecuted. They just come in, they become a citizen, and then the government will help you out. So the government at one time, in order to get people to accept the government and allow the government in, is by it helping the people, helping other countries, being a real true, like, good government. And then it turned. And what it did was it created a separate constitution that says that, hey, you know, you can't be a part of this government unless you have a title of nobility. Before, you couldn't be a part of the okay, here it is in a nutshell. The Constitution that once protected you from them, they flipped it, and now it protects them from you. Moving on.
When there is hysteria to spread, while Amazon.com was frantically deleting Confederate flag products.
So was that flag really representing of racism, or was it representing something else? Maybe it was to release yourself from the arm of Rome and Europe and debt, and to really truly still be free and govern yourself. That's what that flag represents.
from its website, and everybody was going bat crapping over the 1970s comedy TV series, Dukes of Hazzard, and its use of the so-called Confederate flag on a hot rod car. Republicans, and the now President, Barack Obama, were busy committing outright treason, at the most highest of all levels, surrendering American sovereignty, and economically enslaving all of America's future generation. And that is the tragic irony of all this. While the political leftists falsely believed it was denouncing slavery by pressuring every online retailer and government entity to ban the Confederate flag, the United States Congress was busy enacting a whole new level of total economic enslavement for all of humanity, regardless of their skin color. Here is a quick video explaining the now TPP free trade agreement.
Republicans in Congress are eager to work with the Obama administration to fast-track the passage of the Trans-Pacific Partnership. If you haven't heard much about the Trans-Pacific Partnership, that's part of the problem right there. It would be the largest trade deal in history, involving countries stretching from Chile to Japan, representing 792 million people and accounting for 40% of the world economy. Yet it's been devised
And it's been going on worldwide. And remember, Jade Helm is an exercise that's worldwide in all these same countries. And they say it's consistent with protecting the, China says in North Korea, it's consistent with them protecting the Atlantic trade and their trade program. So when you start to think about it, this is a global military. This is everybody working together globally. Do you know what this means? This means that our country is no longer one or an individual country separate from all the rest of the world and is free. And, you know, this is the place of freedom and sovereignty and where you can escape the land of persecution. That doesn't exist anymore.
secret. Lobbyists from America's biggest corporations and Wall Street's biggest banks have been involved, but not the American public. The pharmaceutical industry, for example, they get stronger patents, delaying cheaper generic versions of drugs. Big corporations and Wall Street get an international tribunal.
So RX, all the major pharmaceutical companies, because they have better patents and get their shit passed through faster, it'll make all the generic, cheaper drugs be delayed. And so people that, you know, are sick and already can barely even afford the meds that there is anyways, guess what? They're going to raise the meds. They're going to monopolize everything. And then your Grammy's going to get sick and die. And when you get sick, you're going to die. And guess what? The insurance company, Obamacare's already got their little mitts in there too. So do you think you're going to really get help? Did you know that this country has the most prison industry than any other country in the entire world? And they say that that has only happened during the time that Stalin reigned and Hitler reigned. Everybody ended up becoming prisoned. It was the most prison industrial complex of every other country in the world. And then everybody ended up executed. But I'm crazy and I'm just a conspiracy. I don't know what I'm talking about. You know, I know what I'm talking about and I know where this is going. And this is exactly why I say I don't think I'm going to be doing this anymore. So I hope that you enjoy what you're seeing, okay? And it's like really kind of, you know, planting some good seeds in you to make you really give a shit. And not really about your country anymore, unless you're ready to bind together like they did back in the day in 1776. You know, you got to start doing history, okay? Land of the cowardice and the slaved. That's who we are. We're not the land of the brave and the free. We are the land of the slaved and the cowardice. And that's what we become. And I really see it that when they start dropping the hammer down little by little, everybody's going to go along with it. You're going to see a select few, the real true heroes. They'll be shot down real quick. And you know, the people that are already afraid now and have already given up, you'll be like, see, that's why I don't do anything. That's why I don't do anything. And everybody's going to be saying that while they're all going to get peppered down and by rubber bullets. They're going to all get hauled away. I'm telling you, it's going to be fucking unreal. And the dollar collapsing, it all adds up to this.
Private attorneys.
This is one world kingdom. One world. 10 kingdoms. Popes come in. We're going to vow our empireship to him. We're going to take on Roman law. And that means that Sunday worship will be instituted here. You will have to mandatorily go to church on Sundays. You will not allowed to be able to read the Bible by yourself. No one will be allowed to be a freelancer. Okay? There will be no freelancers. Man, nobody even knows what this Pope is saying. So everything I'm saying to you right now just sounds like a foreign fucking alphabet. You guys better wake up.
Outside any nation's legal system.
The Inquisition is in.
That can order compensation for any lost profits found to result from the nation's regulations. That means even U.S.-based corporations could challenge any U.S. government regulation they claim unfairly diminishes their profits. Say, laws that protect American consumers from unsafe products or unhealthy foods, that protect workers, block toxic emissions, or prevent another taxpayer-funded bailout of Wall Street. The Obama administration says the trade deal will boost U.S. exports, but the deal will also allow American corporations to outsource even more jobs abroad.
Even more.
In other words, it's a Trojan horse.
So we are a self-sustaining prison, okay? If you're a good citizen, good abiding, little law-abiding citizen, okay, good little sheeple, then you've never been to jail, you've never been to prison, and you don't know how it works, okay? But if you have happened to actually do something bad in your life, like a big fight, or just do something that, you know, you regret, obviously, but, you know, you made a mistake in your life and you actually had to do a little bit of heavy time, you know? I would say even 4 to 5 months is a big wake-up call to the reality of what's going on. Unless you're an idiot and you don't really look outside the box and then take that box and put it back inside. Like, you know, you look outside the box and realize, hey, I'm still inside the box. I got to look even further outside the box, okay? People that don't do that, they don't realize what's happening to them from day to day. They don't know what's going to happen next, and everything's a surprise to them, all right? Whereas other people, they start to pay attention and can see how the mechanisms work of every single structure of the system itself, then they're able to break down and already predict what's going to happen next. And that's what I'm trying to explain to you. So when you go to jail, right, it's like the beginning steps of what they're going to do with you, okay? What they want you to do already right off the bat is plead to all their deals, give up all your consensual rights, give up all your rights, your inalienable rights by consent, and give all jurisdiction and authority over to them over you. And then you're now a cash cow. And then what they do is basically estimate whether you're going to have a sentence inside the jail. They're going to give you probation and let you out, which is just a trap and a money machine. So, you know, again, a cash cow. Or you're going to get sentenced and then thrown into a prison, okay, for a long time. And then so this is what usually ends up happening. If you're a probate guy, you know, you're basically on it depends on what it is. If it's felony probation, you got to check in, you got to piss in a cup, you got to do all these things. Your probation is a lot longer, and your money is a lot more. If you're on a misdemeanor, and if it's not a drug charge, and you basically just have to keep paying in the thing, you got to pay your probation fee every month plus the restitution, whatever they want. And then if you get sentenced and you choose not to go through any kind of probation, they shave your head and then make you a trustee of the jail. And then you're the dude who's either mopping the floors, cleaning the toilets, or cooking people's food, taking out trash. What I'm trying to say is that the trustee, you're a trustee no matter what. The moment you walk into a courtroom and you do not enact your common law rights and your inalienable rights, and you choose to actually have an attorney represent you in the courtroom, then that means that you're now a trustee. You're not allowed to speak to the judge. The judge is now the beneficiary. Well, actually, it's called the magistrate, which means that he just basically administrates all the rules and laws out to you from the commercial maritime law developed by Rome. And so that's what we're under. We're under Roman law, whether you want to believe it or not. But we have the ability in this country to enact common law, which is going back to the organic constitution. So through consent, you either are a part of a commercial maritime law, or you can enact a common law where commercial law and maritime law does not apply to you. So now you can represent yourself. Well, we're dummies and we don't get taught civil liberties in America anymore. We actually get taught how to serve and obey and be good little puppets for the future war machine empire that they are, that they have been constructing since, 1932. And so anyhow, it's actually a lot longer than that, but I'm basically just going off after World War II. Got UN, you've got everything, all the ducks in a row to establish a new world order. So anywho, going into what I'm trying to say here and why it's significant is that, so you go to jail, the judge is the beneficiary, the magistrate, he is the beneficiary, the administrator, and also the beneficiary, the chief executive officer over you, and as well as the I'm forgetting it. Basically, you cannot be the trustee and the beneficiary at the same time. So you're, either the judge is going to be the trustee, and that means that they work for you, or you are their bitch, and you shut up and you work for them, and you are obligated, like truly, by law and all right, to be their slave. So if you don't know what I'm talking about in the legalese formats and how to defend yourself in the common law sovereign courtroom, then, basically this is all foreign language to you. What I'm trying to say is that everybody in this country has allowed themselves to be the trustee. That's why when you get pulled over, they ask for that card called a driver's license, which is just an incrimination to yourself, and letting them know that you had begged for permission to even be able to be on the road in the first place. So you don't have any right. And the more and more people who do this, what's the point of this constitution? If 300 million Americans all got birth certificates and social security numbers are all under the jurisdiction of the federal government, who are you? And what do you own? Sovereign what? Shut up. You're nobody. You're a cash cow. And the moment that we feel like your investment is sour, we're just going to destroy you. We'll lock you up. We'll throw you. We'll make money off you somehow, some other way. Trust me. And so what this all means is that our self-sustained prison, okay, you go to jail when you're sentenced from the judge, you become the trustee, you sustain the prison, you clean the prison, and then what happens when all the jobs are taken up in the prison? You got to wait for your SWAT to open up. So then you're just sitting around counting fucking cards, playing dominoes with your buddies, and looking at the four walls closing in on you, and just trying to find anything you possibly can just to kill some time. That's exactly the world that we're living in right now. And guess what? That is what they want to do and make it happen even further.
And a global race to the bottom, giving big corporations from Wall Street banks a way to eliminate laws and regulations that get in the way of their profits. Right now, they're trying to get something called fast track authority. So this massive giveaway can pass without any public review or power to amend. So we have to say loud and clear, no to fast track and no to the Trans-Pacific Partnership.
While ignorant activists ran around in mass hysteria, thinking they were banishing a symbol of enslavement from the history books, they were actually providing the necessary public distraction to quietly pass the TPP's Fast Track Authority. In other words, the ignorant activists played right into the hands of the real slave masters, the globalist, monopolist corporations, and their fascist government puppets, who betrayed the people at the very given opportunity. Believe us, these corporations do not care about the skin color of their slave workers. They gladly enslave everyone, including you and me. Why is humanity so stupid to allow our own elected representatives to forfeit America's future, which they just did? Screw the Confederate flag issue and same-sex marriage, folks. All of Americans are now the property of multinational monopolist corporations that have turned national governments against their own people. The Confederate flag flap and same-sex marriage was merely a useful distraction to trick the population in using the political sleight of hand to fool everyone about the real agenda being pursued in Washington. America is now officially a nation of slave workers beholden to multinational corporate interests. How does your silly flag and same-sex marriage outrage feel now? This is what just got passed into law, and the following things are now patentable: plants and animals, mental processes, surgery, any and all medication.
A mental process.
By the generic.
So that means that you can even think of something and then go to invent it and find out that because of the government has already invented it like 30 years ago, put a patent on it, realize, hey, you know, that's going to benefit humanity. That's going to take money away from us. We cannot invent this, but we still own the patent. That way, if anybody ever invents it, we'll just sue the shit out of them and own everything that they fucking own. Good luck. Welcome to 1984, the Orwellian world of the Brave New World. The Orwellian Brave New World.
Products, genetic, biological, and cultural resources. Most of this is left extremely vague, so unless it is defined in a revision, essentially everything now is patentable. The main points are that copyrights law will be extended for at least 70 years. Posting and downloading.
So me right now doing this, I'm right now conveying a message to you that was already conveyed to me from this anonymous group. And now because I'm conveying his message to you, I could actually be arrested right now for doing what I'm doing. That's how insane this has gotten, that their music's no longer free. I mean, shit, you can go out and buy the album, but it's still not yours. You know, you put it on the internet, you share it on accident, you want to videotape your kids, you know, playing or something, and you got the radio on in the background at a barbecue or something, and then, you know, you go to upload that video on YouTube to show your friends from California, and you're in New York, you know, and all of a sudden, you know, you can't post the video because they say, oh, we detect the song in the background, you know, you need to, oh, well, I own the song, oh, it doesn't matter, okay, CGI Records, they just don't want you to have it, I'm sorry, and then the copyright law, TTP, fucking blah, 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 taking your ass, fucking yada, yada, yada. Right now, you know, if you don't pay this much money, then the federal government will be knocking on your door in a week, okay? And then we're going to take all your property and shit. Look, I know you think it's fucking insane, and what I'm saying is it's crazy, but they just want your shit. They want your shit now. And they don't just want your shit, they want the land that you're walking on. It's no fucking joke, man. I'm sorry. I'll calm down. I'm sorry. I'm not trying to yell at you. I'm trying to say, like to America, to the checkout people, to the people that think they have a future, to think that people that are going to college right now working for what?
Copyrighted content online will now become a federal crime, regardless of whether or not it is for commercial purposes, and can result in a permanent ban from the internet. The quality of testing and requirements for patents on drugs will be lowered. Corporations will be able to
look, you better learn these things about acts and statutes and codes. They only apply to you as long as you consent to them and everybody goes along with it. Okay, what is the definition of an act? There you go. All right, you need to start questioning your authority. You need to start really looking at how much power you have as an American. People are like, what are we going to do? What's the solutions? Learn. You know, knowledge is power. How do you use and convey the power of wisdom? Words. Start learning them. Start learning the words that they use against you. Start learning the words and sentences of freedom. Start learning the words that protect you, and you will be free.
Laws of any government for any and every commercial purpose. Pharmaceutical companies that treat illnesses, such as cancer or AIDS, will be able to sue for projected loss in profit for treating those illnesses. Corporations will be able to sue for infringement without actually owning any registered property. Internet service providers will be legally required to give all of your information, including your current location, to the governments and major corporations involved. Corporations can withhold information about their products, including ingredients, chemicals, and drug facts, for commercial purposes, of course. We are anonymous. We are legion. We do not forgive. We do not forget.
All right. And then I came across this good video yesterday, Lord Humongous. And remember, I've told you in many videos that we are a corporation and that by you having a birth certificate and a social security number, you are now an agent, an employee to the corporation. And that means that you are also a corporate entity. And that's why they're allowed to use you as chattel and as a debt slave or a revenue maker. Okay, that's what you are. You're just basically a stock investment. Okay, ha! Psh, no! Or more like bah!
How you doing, guys? This is probably sure to be a controversial video, and that's because the topic is going to be what's been in the news a lot lately, and that is gay marriage. And for those of you who don't know, if you've been watching my videos,
and I think you should listen to what this man has to say, because, you know, in my videos, I was like, hey, if you're really free, why do you have to ask to get married? Or why do you have to pay to get married? Or if you're gay, you can't get married in certain states or whatever, you know? But now it's been passed to be completely legalized, but what other people don't know about it is it actually is made. It's turned marriage, gay marriage, into a commodity now, whereas the contract that they used to sign into before was not the same as it was for a man and a woman. When they got married, they, you know, got specific kind of benefits supposedly from the government by paying in and getting their special little marriage certificate and license and stuff. And then, you know, then that's where through the state and the registry and basically through the federal government that they say that you're married now. And there's also going to be, requirements as well as the supposed benefits. Well, I guess supposedly what people didn't know that weren't gay and didn't get married was that they weren't under the same obligation to contract. So that's kind of big news, don't you think?
do know that I am staunchly libertarian in my political beliefs, so I could give a rat's ass who somebody has sex with,
Me
or
too.
how many people, or whatever.
Exactly.
I just do not give a shit.
It's not our
and you should not
business.
pay me to give a shit. With that being said, there are some certain aspects of the fervor surrounding the recent gay marriage thing that really upset me, because people don't understand the issue that's at play here. People think that this is about marriage and about...
So check it out. This guy's not even gay. He doesn't even give a shit about gay people and what they fucking do. But guess what? He actually cares about the political, I would say, atmosphere around this. You put this situation of gay marriage or gay homosexual free love, okay? It's something completely private between two individuals, and we take it, we categorize it, we exploit it, we turn it into almost a commodity. It's a package wrap fucking actual like product, okay? It's put into a snow globe, okay? And that's what I'm trying to say. The atmosphere of this bullshit is the fucking snow globe, okay? And what they're doing is not only are they exploiting you and basically putting you under like a huge microscope, but there's also, he cares about the political structure that now is being developed with this, the political atmosphere, like I said, you ask the government for help, you expect to follow their demands. You understand?
Love, and it's not, and I'm going to tell you why. First off, something that may shock a lot of people out there who think that gay marriage has been legalized is that gay marriage was not illegal. Anyone could get married to whoever they wanted. It was just not recognized by the government. You could certainly go out and say, we are married. You could write up a contract between the two of you if you wanted to. Bam, done. What the hell are you complaining about? And this is the way it should be for straight people as well, or anyone else, whatever you want to call your cisgendered.
So back in the day, well, before Friday, you could just turn around and write out a contract between you, go to another state. It was just written out. I mean, you didn't even have to follow these protocols. And it's not the same way for straight people, okay? For straight people, just because you claim that it's common law, you don't get the tax benefits. You don't get the particulars, or, you know what I'm saying? There's a lot of things that are beneficial and as well as not exactly beneficial when you're married. for example, my wife's debts are my debts. And it's going to now be the same thing for all gay marriages as well.
Don't give a fuck. Doesn't matter. If you wanted to create a relationship contract with someone else, you could. That was never in question. So the issue here is what really you're talking about. You're not talking about marriage. You're not talking about ability for people to live together, have sex together. That's never the issue here. What they're really talking about is a marriage subsidy. Is the government actually saying that you could get a tax break or certain relationship benefits and legal benefits that they're bestowing on one particular type of marriage contract that they are now, that they're not bestowing on others? Or they
see, this is where my friend comes in, and then like I posted a post yesterday, not yesterday, it was a couple days ago, about that African American lady. Well, she's not even African American. They're Black Americans, okay? Because they're not even really from Africa. Like, there's so many different countries and places in Africa. If you want to sit there and say they're from Africa, defy the place that they're from there, and then we can go ahead and call them that, right? You know, like, we really need to start really getting down to the minutia. And if we're going to be so politically correct, I say we be intellectually correct when it comes down to the pronunciation of words and where we're going with them, the conveyance and definitions of words, and where we're going to properly use these terminologies. You know, I say we start getting correct with that. But I'm moving on, okay? So she turned around and she beat up that girl or whatever. And then so an individual I know, I'm not going to mention any names, he went in there and he's like, well, white people are suppressed more than Black people in this country, and, you know, they actually get it worse than Black people. And then another friend of mine chimed in and says, that is the most retarded comment I've ever seen in my life. You know, you're ignorant. I totally disagree. And I can see both sides of the coin. I can see where he's like, you know, my friend's like, what are you talking about? You know, it's white masters and white people that have slaved this country. I mean, you couldn't even be a Black president until now, which is really not the truth. Actually, before George Washington, I believe there was 8 other presidents, and one of them was Black. And anywho, there was a Black president before George Washington, but I'm not getting into the details. My point is that when you look at white people today, after the Act of 1871, we all became individual slaves. There's no free person unless you consent and understand and are educated to freedom. And that's also known by many presidents of our founding fathers. And, you know, freedom is only, respectably given to people that understand it and can rightfully treat it so, you know, and has good morals and foundations can protect it. And we don't have that. We don't even know what freedom is anymore. It's just a slogan with alternative interests. So anywho, moving on. Black people, just like right now, he's saying, oh, well, gay people, when they get married now, they're going to get certain tax breaks. They're going to get specific kind of benefits that single people don't get. Right? Well, it's kind of the same way with like white people. When, you know, we don't have special Caucasian American rights. We don't have we don't have an American. I mean, half the Americans that are in this country, we don't even really know what we are. We're all Heinz 57, so we're all mutts, but yet we're born here. And the same thing with Black Americans that are here. So to say, oh, well, we need Black History Month. We need to have Black African American rights. We need to have extra privileges, extra this, more of that, more of this, more of that, more of this. Well, white people don't get shit, and we really don't. We don't get free college. We might get a little bit of student loans, and then based off the education that we give out, so whatever we take in and then can prove that we get out, whatever we learn that semester, and as long as we basically can keep up a greater GPO, you know, grade point average, GPA, you know, above a certain amount, then that's when the financial aid will give us more money. But at the end of the whole entire deal, we're still $60,000, $70,000 in debt, depending on what you're going to college for, or where you're going to college, and all these other things. But anywho, I'm not going to get into that, all right, because that's extremely controversial. If you're not going to be mature about it, if you're not going to look at it in a face value and see it for what it really is, and everybody's going to point fingers and live in denial of the reality of what's really going on, then no one's going to see any kind of peace in it. But again, My point is that they sell, like, okay, Latinos right now, they're coming into this country from Mexico. They're getting free government health care, free housing, free everything, and getting set right up. I was born here. There ain't shit I get for free. I mean, the only thing that I think that I ever got for free was some food stamps. All right. And that wasn't even enough to feed me for the entire month. So I'm eating the cheapest, shittiest GMO fucking quality food that you could ever think of getting. Thanks, government. Best thing is to just send all your shit back and don't ask them for help at all. Because the more that you ask them for help, the more you're going to realize that you're actually not doing anything for yourself. And then you won't be able to.
Hadn't been up until this point. And that's what the issue is. Instead of saying, oh, everyone should be subjected to the same legal nuptial agreement and get the associated cash and prizes once you hand over and say, hey, I'm ready for the government sanctioned relationship. It shouldn't exist for any sort of relationship. There should be no government payout or subsidies for one type versus the other for any type. It doesn't matter. That's not what government should be doing. So it's really disturbing to me to see all these idiots out there celebrating the fact that they've got themselves in this cage just because it's a big, nice cage that other people are already in. They think that there's benefits there. So it's really that people are selling out. You're saying that this isn't meaningful to me unless I get the government associated subsidies for my life decision. So it's fucking...
You sold out!
Stupid if you ask me. And people are totally...
You're like a fucking prima donna now. How do you feel about yourself, okay? You glamorized your glamour.
Missing the point. And it shouldn't be...
You made what made you unique and different, not so fucking different.
There should be no tax breaks or benefits for relationships to begin with. If a corporation wanted to do that, that's on them. There shouldn't have nothing to do with the government. The government should not control any aspect of a relationship contract that one person has.
The way I see it is everybody deserves to have respect. Everybody deserves to feel accepted in life. If you're Black, Chinese, Indonesian, or from Burma, I don't give a shit. I love you. And if you're gay, as long as you don't ever put your moves on me, if you hit on me once, I'm going to I'm flattered. Thank you, thank you. But I don't fly like that. You know what I'm saying? Nothing's ever going to make him twitch downstairs, if you know what I'm saying. Nothing's moving. In fact, I'm kind of feeling now like I need to back away, and I just don't want to feel that way. Let's go back to being cool and joking around and having a good time and being friends, okay? And you know what? If I run into a cool guy that I think that you can take advantage of, well, no, I don't want to be like that. That's kind of horrible. But my point is that you guys keep it all to yourself. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to be a part of it. My point is that I don't mind being around people. I feel accepted. And as long as there's a respectance of boundaries and to one's individual beliefs and morals and certain things, I think everybody can get along. It's all on your own personal self then of where you're going to go, of where you know what I'm saying? It's all a personal thing. That's why I don't understand why the news takes so much personal stuff, blows it up, but then takes the real crucial things that affect you truly personally as a whole and a nation and just sweeps that under the carpet. And I think that's really the big point here, is that why are we even talking about this? I don't even, that's what I mean. I would rather talk about the death of your sovereignty, the death of the democracy that was supposed to be good in itself, and how that is actually just turned into manufactured consent to where now you don't even have any consent at all. What does that tell you? I'll let you listen a little bit more, but I think I pretty much got the message out.
As with another person, whether they're gay or straight, and to make it equal, just by adding more people under the state's umbrella of control, isn't better. It's worse, and people are going to start to see that now, because government sanctioned marriage subsidies or government enacted marriage is just a nuptial agreement that's mandated now by the state. So before, without the government, you could have any sort of relationship agreement that you wanted between you and one other person, and you and 4 other people. You could have a financial element to it. It doesn't matter. And then if that contract was breached, it would be just like any other breach of legal contract. And that's the way it should be for marriage today. But it's not, because now marriage has a governmental definition that if you sign their paperwork to get their cash and prizes, to get their government benefits, if you sell out for that, then you're subject to that. And in a lot of states now, you're subject to that by force of law, even without signing on the line. Just but you could have cohabitation rules, common law marriages. So even if you just say, oh, we're married, but not under the government's definition, you might still be under the government's definition by force of law. So it's completely bullshit. It's totally anti-freedom. And I don't agree with the government having anything to do with a person's relationship with another person, with a person's relationship contract with another person, and they certainly shouldn't be getting benefits from the government just for doing that. So who's really being left out in the cold here would be people who are in a monogamous, long-term committed relationship, or don't even have to be monogamous, I guess, but a long-term committed relationship, and don't get these sort of benefits that married couples are now getting because they're not signing up for the same sort of controls. And that's all it is when you say I'm getting married now, if I just went up to someone and said, oh, we're married now, what would that mean? For most people, it means, oh, you went to the courthouse and got a marriage license, which isn't necessary. You could be married. Marriage existed before governments ever did. Marriage existed certainly before the United States government ever did, and probably even certainly before the churches ever did.
Oh, trust me, it was, okay? I know it sounds crazy to bring up in times of denial in the most atheistical times, but I'm pretty sure that Adam and Eve were both made as a married couple, and Eve was made so that Adam wasn't alone and had a companion and didn't have the need on earth. So sounds to me like before any government, before any real true religion outside the law of God, okay? Right, like the actual natural order of all things have a companion and a soul life partner, okay? It has nothing to do with the contract.
And either that sanctioned it. So you don't need any of those things to be married.
That's basically what it is. It's like, who's your God? Is your contract between you and that person and God? Or is it between you, man, or is it between you, that other person, and God government, God man? You know, that's what they've done. I'm not even going to get into that. We'll have a show on that one day.
A relationship contract between you and one or more other people.
I don't even know if I'm going to do it, okay? If I get a like and a response and a comment and people like what they hear here, then I might consider it. But honestly, I don't even know if that's going to be enough for me. I mean, seriously, you know?
So to get the government involved at all is a mistake, and certainly to celebrate it is lunacy, and we should be fighting to take away.
All right, I'm done, okay? But we are a corporation, and you need to check that out. For real news, Yemeni forces fire Scud missile into Saudi Arabia. So Saudi Arabia, that's the one that we originally made the deal with the 1973 petrodollar, and that's the place that we actually have where, you know, most of our oil comes from, and they have most of the stocks and bonds here in America. Saudi Arabia probably gets to make decisions now of what's going on here, okay? In the reality of things, though, Saudi Arabia gets to nuke other people and destroy other countries, while at the same time Yemen and all these other places are being under attack.
Houthi fighters and allied army units have killed several Saudi military men in fresh retaliatory attacks on the kingdom's south. Yemen's defense ministry says at least 10 Saudi soldiers were killed and injured after joint forces rockets hit a number of military bases on the Saudi border. This follows earlier.
All right, well, there you go. And I came across another good piece of information right here. Israel acknowledges it is helping Syrian rebel fighters. And so it had gone on basically saying that Defense Minister Moshe Yaalon said Monday that Israel has been providing aid to Syrian rebels, thus keeping the Druze in Syria out of immediate danger. Israeli officials have previously balked at confirming on the record that the country has been helping forces that are fighting to overthrow Syrian President Bashar Assad. During a briefing with Israel's diplomatic correspondent at the IDF, which is Israel's defense, the IDF, Israel's Defense Force headquarters in Tel Aviv, Yaalon said that Israel's ongoing humanitarian assistance to Syrian rebel fighters is a source of growing conflict between Israel and its own Druze population, safeguards, and minority population in Syria. And there was a part where it had gone on basically saying that they have helped Al-Qaeda and helped form ISIS. That's really where I ended up. It's official. Israel is helping with Al-Qaeda affiliated Al-Nusra. And if you have heard the last show that I did, I went into the origins of ISIS from Al-Qaeda, Mujahideen, Al-Nusra, and ISIS. And Israel is funding them. I'm going to put this in Subliminal Sanity News on Facebook. So if you go ahead, go to Facebook, look up SSN. And it should pop up. Well, I guess space that out. There we go. Bam. This is what you're looking for. That's what it looks like. Go ahead, give us a like, and you'll not only get videos to watch like this, but you'll also get controversial news that you're not going to see on your mainstream media, probably most likely before it's even read off on your mainstream media. I'm usually posting the news and telling people the news before it's even mentioned on the news. So this is definitely a good place to like. And you've heard already that the internet's being shut down. All these copyright laws, all these bad things are going on. And personally, the worse it gets and the more control that they have, and the less that people want to fight and stand up for what is right, the less that I really want to be a part of a movement that is not moving really far at all. You know what I mean? And so it just drives me more to want to care about myself and my family and just take care of the immediate people around me. So I like doing this stuff, but I don't know where it's going to be. I always tell myself, hey, I'll do this all the way until the shit hits the fan. And then, they're coming and pounding down my door and dragging me out. And, maybe they'll fucking execute me right in front of you guys. And you can see that it's time for you to get the fuck out. But honestly, I'm not willing to sit back and just die. I want to get plans and things going on for myself. And the more that they know, and they know what I know, the more that they can attack the areas that are a solution. So every time I tell you a solution, if you notice, they attack it. Like I put inside the SSN, the reality behind Jade Helm 15, and in there it's about the South and how they rebelled against the North. So it gives you a different opinion about the South and the Confederate States in the first place. And then you think about that flag and what it represented for them, being a whole different state wanting to go against the Union. Who's to say slavery would really still exist today in 2015 with all the technology and all the laziness that we have around us? You really think that we would have really had slaves? Somewhere down the line, this would have evened itself out no matter what. And racism only exists because of our elite members want to keep us divided and aimed at each other. If you ever notice, they always put out an individual that is a black American. He gets shot by a police officer, and then whenever it's posted on the news, you always see all the white people, yeah, great, another thug down. That could be you, all right? You don't have rights, you don't have freedoms, you don't have the right to a lawyer. The Defense Authorization Act basically gives President Obama the right to execute you, lock you up, imprison you for the rest of your life without any due process or anything like that. And that's basically what I see going on to the Black American communities here in America. All right, I got to go. I got shit to do. And I really hope that you enjoyed, what you saw so far. God bless you all. Subscribe, share, do whatever. And I hope you guys have a wonderful Tuesday. Take care.